Hey there, Saber fans. Shamim here. I am back from Star Wars Celebration. Thank you to everyone who came up to me and said hello during the convention. It was great meeting a bunch of you, seeing a lot of old friends, and meeting some new friends as well. And to kind of continue on with the theme of Star Wars Celebration, I thought I would take a look at four very precious lightsabers from my personal collection. Each one of these hilts has been autographed by the actor who wielded that lightsaber within each of the four Star Wars films. These are my four Skywalker signed lightsabers. And I got each one signed at a different Star Wars Celebration over the last 4 years. These first two have been signed by Mark Hamill. This is the Episode 4 Skywalker lightsaber. This is the Episode 5 Skywalker lightsaber. Both of them were signed at Celebration in Anaheim by Mark Hamill. Then this is, of course, the Episode 6 Luke Skywalker lightsaber, signed by Mark Hamill in the 2017 Star Wars Celebration in Orlando. And then just recently added to my collection is an Episode 3 Anakin Skywalker lightsaber signed by Hayden Christensen, who was at Star Wars Celebration 2019 in Chicago that I just returned from. I think I may have mentioned one or two of these sabers and the stories associated with the signing of these hilts in one or two previous videos, but I don't believe I've ever done a full video just showing off the four signed hilts that I have in my collection. So I wanted to take some time to do that, because they have some really unique stories associated with them, and I'd like to preserve them for posterity and also share them with you guys as well. Let's start with these Graflex lightsabers here, and we'll take a closer look at all of them. So both of these are Parks V1. These are Generation 1 Parks Graflexes. So this is before the 2.0 and the 2.5 that Parks and Corbanth and Custom Saber Shop created and distributed. These are replica flash guns. This is what Parks used to do before he switched over to doing the 2.0 and the 2.5. Why he did that, I'll never know. Anyway, so I have a soft spot in my heart for the V1 Parks Graflex hilts. I know that there are one or two replicas out there by either Roman Props or by the Graflex Shop or Maker Prop Studio that may be a little bit more accurate, a little bit better polish, a little better finish than the Parks V1. But the Parks V1 was the very first Graflex replica I ever owned. In fact, these two are the very first Parks replica Graflexes that I ever owned. And so they will always have a sentimental value in my heart as the first Skywalker lightsaber replicas that I ever owned. And I got both of these from Parks directly, empty, non-converted into any of his electronics. So this is the A New Hope version. You've got your okay. Before I reveal it, I want to go into the story behind these two. So I got 2 tickets to get Mark Hamill to sign these at Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim 2015, and I think it was Thursday evening or Friday evening. I think it was like the first night, and I was near the very back of the line at the end of the day. So Mark Hamill was tired, but he was also like willing to talk with the guests, because it wasn't like there's 300 people in line. There's only like 20 people left in line. So we're right at the end, and Mark Hamill is talking up some of the people as they're going through the line. So I had originally envisioned asking him to sign it, but also to write whoopsies, there goes that one. We'll put that one back up. I'd originally envisioned him to write "May the Force be with you" and then sign the hilt, and I wanted him to do that for both of them. And when I got up to the table and I handed over my tickets, and I get up to Mark Hamill, I shake his hand, and he has the lightsabers in front of him. And I ask, will you please write "May the Force be with you" and then sign it on both of them? And he says, on both of them? You want them the same? Exactly the same? I said, yeah, yes, please. He's like, oh, that's boring. You should do something unique. You should do something, clever. Like, how about go force yourself? And the people around him, his handler and the people in front and behind me in line kind of chuckled. It was like, oh, that's funny. But I was a little mortified. I don't want "go force yourself." That's not from one of the movies. That's not a line from Luke Skywalker. That's not a Star Wars line. That's, that I don't want that on my lightsaber. My precious lightsaber that's going to sit in my collection. So I was a little hesitant, but he was like, come on, I've never written that on anyone else's, paper or picture or lightsaber. I've never written anything like that before, so it'll be a unique thing for you. And I was like, wow. And and his handler was like, wow, that's awesome. And so after he said that, and the more I thought about it, it's like, this is a Mark Hamill. He suggested it, what he wanted to write. So he did end up writing "Go Force Yourself" with a huge exclamation mark on the A New Hope Graflex. And it's funny because the A New Hope is my favorite version of the Graflex. It's the original version of the Graflex. So he wrote "May the Force be with you" on the Empire Strikes Back one, and then signed it. But on the Graflex from A New Hope, he wrote "Go Force Yourself." And the more I thought about it and reflected on it over the years, I thought, this is something very unique. This is a funny story. I can always tell this story to my friends and to any other collectors who see the collection and be like, what's the story behind that? So I can say, this is the story. It was at the end of the line, at the end of the day, and there were maybe 5-6 people behind me in line. I was very near the end of the line. And he was just having, he had 0 F's left to give, and he was like, "Go force yourself. Let's put that on your lightsaber. Why not?" So, all 4 of these lightsabers are empty. They're uninstalled. And my philosophy behind it is that when I get a lightsaber signed, it's basically going to sit in a glass case on my shelf for eternity, and I'm really never going to handle it again. Every now and then I may take it out and just look at it in my hand, or I may show it to someone, or I may do a video like this and drop it on the table. But I don't want to install electronics into something that's just going to sit on the shelf and actually really never be used. It's a waste of hundreds of dollars worth of electronics, in my opinion. So that's why all of my signed lightsabers are not installed. Moving on to the more recent additions to the collection. This is a KR Sabers hero. There are more accurate replicas of the Luke Skywalker Return of the Jedi lightsaber out these days. But back then, it was a pretty decent replica, and it was one of the only ones, if not the only accurate-ish one, that came empty. And as I said, I didn't want installed signed sabers, so I went with the KR hero. So this was in 2017 in Florida, and unfortunately, my signing time was during one of the busiest times of the weekend. It was like Friday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, so it was right in the thick of things. So I asked the people who were handling him, can he write something? Because I wanted all of my Skywalker lightsabers to have an additional note written by Mark, and they said, unfortunately, we don't have time for that. There's too many people, and he doesn't have enough time. So we're just getting people through as quickly as possible. So it was just an autograph on this one. But I mean, just an autograph by Mark Hamill. So like, that in and of itself is pretty cool. You don't really need anything else written on there. You don't need a fun story. But it was quite cool to meet him again for a second time and get an autograph now. So all 3 of the, at that time, all 3 of the Skywalker, because this is before, I think this was before Episode 8 came out in 2017. So we didn't know that Luke Skywalker's green lightsaber was going to reappear in Episode 8. So at this point, it was just those 3 lightsabers that Luke Skywalker used. I had all the lightsabers that Luke Skywalker used were signed by him. Anyway, Hayden Christensen started showing up at Celebration in 2017, so that was amazing. I didn't have a chance to get him to sign anything in 2017, but now in 2019, where he showed up in Chicago, I was able to get him to sign. This is a Master Replicas limited edition solid prop, so this is not the Force Effects or the Black Series or the Hasbro version. This is the limited edition solid skinny flex, 1-to-1 scale, very very accurate, and this is the only thing that I wanted him to sign. So he wrote to Shamim, "Best wishes." I had asked the handler whether I could write, whether Hayden would write, a personalized note or a quote from the movie, and it was near the end of the day again, and she was like, "No, that's not going to happen. You can just have him write to your name." So I had on my post-it note "to Shamim," and I had that along with the lightsaber. So he writes "to Shamim," and then he puts the dash. And then I can see him thinking, like, he wants to write something, not just "to Shamim," and then sign his name. So he writes "best wishes." That was of his own accord. I didn't ask him to write that, but it was very, very sweet of him. I shook his hand. He was smiling. He was standing. you know, Hayden has gotten a lot of crap from Star Wars fans, quote unquote, over the years. A lot of the actors have, but Hayden, for his portrayal of Anakin Skywalker, which I didn't mind all that much. I really liked him in a lot of the scenes, and he just seemed like a very jovial, genial guy. And he was standing and smiling, as I said, at the end of the day. So poor thing had been going back and forth between the autographing and the photographing all day. So he was very tired, but he still shook my hand and smiled and said, "How are you? Nice to meet you," all that stuff. And then he went ahead and he signed it there, right in front of the orange button. This is a heavy guy. And then traveling back home through TSA security with this was quite fun. When I purchased this hilt from a seller on eBay, it didn't come with any of the paperwork or the stand or anything like that, but it did come with the original styrofoam casing that housed the lightsaber for shipping. So that's what I packaged it in. It had a little plastic sleeve, and then it goes into the perfectly cut styrofoam little box that the lid pops up. So I just taped that and then wrapped it up in bubble wrap, and that's what I took through security. I had it in my carry-on luggage. I'm not going to put that in checked baggage. Are you kidding me? So both times, there and back again, they had to open up the lightsaber. And the woman, after I had signed it and I was coming from Chicago back home to Minnesota, the woman at the TSA was going at the tape with a scissors, and I was like, "Please, dear, sweet God, be careful." It's a very expensive, very precious signed hilt in there. She did manage to get it open without scratching anything, thank the maker, and sent me on my way with some extra tape and bubble wrap. But yeah, these are 4 very, very precious items in my collection. Your lightsabers will make a fine addition to my collection. My General Grievous voice is pretty crap. Now, if Watto had a collection, then I could do a pretty good impersonation of that. Not bad, Parks V1. I warn you, no funny business. So anyway, I don't really have much else to add about these hilts. I would love to have a broke flex, the broken episode 8 lightsaber, and have one half of it signed by Daisy Ridley and the other half signed by Adam Driver. If I ever have the opportunity to, meet either of them at some convention where they're signing, I would absolutely bring a broke flex along and have them each sign one side of it, and that would be the episode 8 version. I'd still have to do an episode 7 signed by Daisy Ridley, maybe even John Boyega, since he does use it for a decent portion of the movie. And then episode 9, apparently the Graflex is reforged. We're not sure what we're calling it yet. Fix Flex seems to be a popular name. Reflex also is my personal choice for it, but we'll see what the community comes up with in terms of naming the episode 9 version of the Graflex Skywalker lightsaber. That has been fixed, and I really, really love the new low-profile clamp section, the Band-Aid that Rey has put on there. It looks spectacular, and I already saw the version that Harp lightsabers made, HARP. He did an amazing job, magnificent, and he got it done within less than 24 hours after the trailer dropped. He had his version of the Fix Flex up online, and it looks spectacular. I understand that KR Sabers is going to be making a replica band that hopefully can be used with most, if not all, of the existing Graflex replica lightsabers out there. So if you want an episode 9 Fix Flex, stay tuned to what KR Sabers is going to put out. I'm sure other makers and manufacturers will come out with their own version of the Fix Flex as well. So very exciting time for Star Wars fans. My favorite character, Palpatine, is back. This is not an episode 9 review. This is just a discussion of my signed lightsaber. So that's really all I have to say about these 4 Skywalker hilts. Very, very precious, and it was an amazing honor to meet Mark Hamill twice and meet Hayden Christensen once. And it was a joy to share all these with you. So thank you all so much for watching, and may the Force be with you.